The funeral home smelled like lilies and lies. I stood by my father's casket, accepting condolences from strangers while my step-family plotted my eviction 6 feet away. They weren't even trying to hide their excitement. Brenda kept checking her phone for moving truck availability, while my stepbrother Jason measured furniture with his eyes. My name is Emma Sullivan, and I just lost the only person who ever truly loved me. But apparently, I was about to lose much more than that. Such a shame, Brenda cooed to her friends, loud enough for me to hear. Poor Harold, suffering so long. At least now he's at peace. And we can finally get this house in order. This house. Our family home where Dad raised me alone after Mom died. Where he taught me to ride a bike in the driveway and built me a treehouse in the backyard. Where Brenda had moved in 15 years ago and immediately started erasing every trace of my mother. I was 17 when Dad married Brenda. She came with 2 kids, Jason, who was my age, and Chloe, 2 years younger. Dad was lonely. I was about to leave for college, and I thought maybe a new family would make him happy. I couldn't have been more wrong. From day one, Brenda made it clear I was an inconvenience. My room was too big. Jason needed it. My mother's photos made the house depressing. My weekend visits from college disrupted their family time. But Dad seemed happy, so I bit my tongue and slowly became a guest in my own home. Emma, Dad would say during our secret coffee dates, the only time we got alone. I know it's hard, but family is complicated. Just give it time. I gave it 18 years. During those years, I watched Brenda systematically take over. She redecorated every room, sold Mom's piano, convinced Dad that family vacations didn't need to include me since I was busy with my career. Jason and Chloe called him Dad, while calling me the visitor behind his back. But I never stopped showing up. Every Sunday dinner, every holiday, every birthday, I was there. When Dad had his first heart attack 5 years ago, I took family medical leave to care for him. Brenda was too overwhelmed. Jason had important meetings. And Chloe lived in California and couldn't possibly leave her yoga instructor boyfriend. For 3 months, I lived in my childhood home again, sleeping on the couch because my old room was now Brenda's craft studio. I managed Dad's medications, drove him to appointments, helped with physical therapy. When he recovered, Brenda threw a party to celebrate and forgot to invite me. "Oh, Emma," she'd said when I showed up anyway. "I thought you'd be busy. With your little job." My little job was as a pediatric nurse, but to Brenda, anything that didn't involve marrying rich was beneath notice. The second heart attack came 2 years ago. Again, I took leave. Again, I cared for him alone. This time was worse. He needed round-the-clock care. Brenda suddenly developed a chronic illness that required her to rest constantly. Jason was building his real estate empire. Chloe sent crystals from California to promote healing. One night, as I helped Dad take his medications, he grabbed my hand. "Emma, I need to tell you something." "Save your strength, Dad." "No, listen. I see everything. How they treat you. How you never complain. Your mother would be so proud of the woman you've become." "Dad, I've made arrangements. With Matthew Brennan, my lawyer. Don't worry about anything, sweetheart. Just keep being you." I thought he meant funeral arrangements. I should have paid more attention. 6 months ago, Dad's health declined rapidly. The doctors recommended hospice care. Brenda wanted to put him in a facility for professional care, she claimed. I refused and moved in permanently to care for him. Those last months were hell and heaven combined. Hell watching him fade. Heaven having uninterrupted time together. We talked about Mom, looked through old photos Brenda didn't know I'd saved, played cribbage like we used to. And every day, without fail, my step-family found reasons to be elsewhere. "The smell is too depressing," Chloe complained on her single visit. "I can't handle seeing him like this," Jason said, while texting clients. "You're so good at this, Emma," Brenda would say, heading out for her bridge club. "We'd just be in the way." Dad died on a Tuesday morning, holding my hand. His last words were, "Take care of yourself now, sweetheart. I love you." "I love you too, Dad." Brenda waited exactly 3 hours after his death to start planning renovations. "We'll knock out this wall," she told Jason as Dad's body was still warm. "Open concept is so much better for resale." "Resale?" I asked, numb with grief. "Well, we can't keep this massive house. Jason's found a buyer already. Cash offer. Dad just died. Today. 3 hours ago. Life goes on, Emma. You can't expect us to live in the past. Speaking of which, you'll need to clear out your things from the guest room. Chloe's flying in for the funeral and needs somewhere to stay." The funeral was yesterday. I'd arranged everything. The service Dad wanted, the burial next to Mom, the reception at his favorite restaurant. Brenda complained about every choice but didn't offer to help. She was too busy with her own plans. As the last guests left the cemetery, Brenda approached me with Jason and Chloe flanking her like bodyguards. "Emma, we need to talk." "Can this wait? We just buried my father." "Our father," Chloe corrected. "And no, it can't wait. We need you out of the house by tonight." I stared at them. "Excuse me?" "Pack your things, the house is ours now," Brenda announced, not even pretending to show sympathy. "Jason's already arranged movers for tomorrow. We're selling to his client." "You can't sell Dad's house." "I live there." "Lived," Jason corrected. Past tense. Mom's his wife, which makes her the sole inheritor. "You're what, 40? Time to get your own place." "I'm 35. And I have my own apartment. I've been staying here to care for Dad." "Which was very nice," Brenda interrupted. "But he's gone now, so your services are no longer needed. Be out by 8. We're changing the locks." They walked away, leaving me standing alone by my father's grave. I looked down at the fresh earth. "I hope you really did make arrangements, Dad. Because your wife just made me homeless on the day of your funeral." I went back to the house, my house, and found Jason already there with measuring tape and a clipboard. Chloe was in the kitchen, going through Mom's china. "This is actually worth something," she said, holding up a teacup. "Vintage. I can sell these online." "Those were my mother's." "Were," she emphasized. "Now they're assets." I packed what I could, photos, a few of Dad's personal items, my clothes. When I tried to take Mom's jewelry box from the master bedroom, Brenda blocked me. "That stays. Everything in this house stays except your personal belongings. This was my mother's. And now it's mine. Leave it or I call the police." I left it. I left everything. As I loaded my car, neighbors watched from windows. Mrs. Patterson from next door came out. "Emma, dear, what's happening?" "Ask them," I said, nodding toward Brenda, directing movers like a general. "Apparently, I'm being evicted. The day of Harold's funeral? That's monstrous." "That's family," I corrected and drove away. I spent the night in my apartment, surrounded by boxes and grief. But the next morning, my phone rang at 7 a.m. "Emma, it's Matthew Brennan, your father's attorney. I need you to come to my office immediately. The will reading is at 9. "Will reading?" Brenda said. "I don't care what Mrs. Sullivan said. Your father's will explicitly requires all beneficiaries to be present. I've already informed the others. They're not pleased." I arrived at the law office to find Brenda, Jason, and Chloe already there, looking irritated. "This is ridiculous," Brenda was saying. "Harold and I were married for 15 years. Everything is mine automatically." "Actually," Mr. Brennan said, adjusting his glasses, "that's not how wills work. Shall we begin?" He pulled out a sealed envelope dated 6 months ago, right when Dad entered hospice. "This is the last will and testament of Harold James Sullivan, being of sound mind and body." The legal language droned on until he reached the distributions. "To my wife, Brenda Sullivan, I leave the sum of $50,000 and my sincere wishes for her happiness." "50,000? Brenda shrieked. "That's it. Please let me continue. To my stepson, Jason Sullivan, I leave my golf clubs and the hope that someday he values family over real estate commissions." Jason's face went red. "To my stepdaughter, Chloe Sullivan, I leave my collection of meditation books and the suggestion that she actually read them instead of just displaying them." Chloe gasped. "The remainder of my estate, including the family home at 427 Oak Street, all investment accounts, the contents of said home, and my entire retirement portfolio valued at approximately $3.2 million, I leave to my daughter, Emma Sullivan." The room exploded. "This is fraud," Brenda screamed. "He wasn't in his right mind. Emma manipulated him." Mr. Brennan held up his hand. "Mrs. Sullivan, I have here a psychological evaluation from Dr. Patricia Morse, conducted the day before Mr. Sullivan signed this will, confirming his complete mental competence. I also have video recordings of the will signing where he explicitly stated his reasons." He pressed play on a laptop. Dad's face appeared, thin but determined. "If you're watching this, it means I'm gone and Brenda is probably screaming." Even from beyond, Dad knew her so well. "Let me be clear. Emma is my only biological child and the only person who treated me like family instead of an ATM. While my wife and stepchildren were too busy for my illness, Emma gave up everything to care for me. That's not true, Jason protested. Dad's recording continued. For the record, in the past 2 years, Brenda visited my sick room exactly 12 times. Jason 7 times. Chloe once. Emma moved in and cared for me every single day. She bathed me, fed me, kept me company, and never once complained. That is a daughter. That is family. That is love. Tears streamed down my face as Dad's image spoke. I know Brenda will contest this. That's why I made sure everything was ironclad. Emma, sweetheart, if you're watching this, know that you were the light of my life. Your mother would be so proud. Take the house and fill it with love again. And maybe get rid of that awful craft room. The video ended. The room was silent except for Brenda's harsh breathing. We'll fight this, she finally said. You're welcome to try, Mr. Brennan replied. But I should mention that Mr. Sullivan also documented every gift, every payment, every expenditure made on your behalf over the past 15 years. The vacations, the cars, the credit card bills, your children's college tuitions. By my calculation, you've already received well over $1 million during the marriage. Any judge would consider that more than adequate provision. You knew, Brenda turned on me. You knew and you let us throw you out. I knew Dad made arrangements. I didn't know what they were. And I didn't let you do anything. You threw me out of my own house the day we buried my father, while you were measuring for renovations over his grave. That house belongs to this family. I am his family, I said quietly. His daughter. The one who stayed. The one who showed up. The one who held his hand while he died. You're right, life does go on. Yours just goes on somewhere else. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Brenda tried to claim common law rights, spousal abandonment, even elder abuse. Every claim fell apart under scrutiny, especially when Mr. Brennan produced 15 years of financial records showing how Dad had bankrolled their entire lifestyle while they treated him like a wallet with a pulse. Jason threatened to sue for his rightful inheritance. His lawyer dropped the case when he saw the video testimony and learned about the existing financial support. Chloe posted a sob story on social media about being cheated out of her inheritance. It backfired when comments poured in from nurses, neighbors, and family friends who'd witnessed her absence during Dad's illness and my constant presence. They moved out within the week, taking nothing but their clothes and the items specifically mentioned in the will. Brenda tried to take Mom's jewelry box anyway. Mrs. Patterson called the police, having recorded the entire attempted theft on her phone. Harold asked me to keep an eye on things, she told me later. He knew they'd try something. That man loved you more than you know. I moved back into my family home last month. I've restored Mom's photos to their rightful places, bought a new piano for the living room, and converted Brenda's craft room back into my old bedroom. Every Sunday, I cook Dad's favorite pot roast and eat at the dining room table where we used to have our family dinners. Sometimes I feel guilty. Despite everything, Dad loved Brenda in his way. But then I remember her face at the funeral, already planning to sell his home before his body was cold. I remember Jason measuring rooms while I was saying goodbye. I remember Chloe pawing through Mom's china like a vulture. They say family is everything. They're wrong. Love is everything. Loyalty is everything. Showing up is everything. Family is just the word people use to guilt you into accepting mistreatment. My name is Emma Sullivan. I'm 35 years old. I spent 2 years caring for my dying father while his wife and stepchildren planned to sell his house. They kicked me out the day of his funeral, already had moving trucks scheduled. Then they discovered he'd left everything to the only person who'd treated him like family instead of a bank account, me. The house is quiet now, but it's a peaceful quiet. A loving quiet. The kind of quiet that comes from knowing you're exactly where you belong, surrounded by the memories of people who truly loved you. Sometimes I talk to Dad while I tend his garden. I tell him about my day, about the pediatric patients who make me smile, about how Mrs. Patterson brings me cookies every week. I think he knows. I think he's proud. And somewhere, in a rented apartment they can't afford, my stepfamily is learning that life goes on works both ways. It went on without me for 15 years while I still showed up. Now it's going on without them. And they have no one to blame but themselves. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.